All right, Glenn.
Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, Open Discussion, Sunday nights at 9. I'm so happy to see everyone that is here tonight. And I want to introduce myself. I am the course creator, Coach Glenda. I am here with my course manager, Rufus Carpenter. And I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself first tonight.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome again to another night of Sunday night at 9. Glad to have you here. I'm glad everybody can be a part of this. We are getting very excited about this, and we have a barn burner of a topic tonight. But I'm going to let Glenda do all that. But again, my name is Rufus Carpenter, and I come in this space a little different than most. Most of you know my background. I came from a large family. We only had, there was 14 kids, only had 3-bedroom house, 1 bathroom. And I had the privilege of sharing a bed with 4 of my siblings and occasionally bedwetter. So I learned the thing about human connection. I was married 27 years to the same lady. And if you married that long, you learn a thing about commitment. You learn a thing about compromise. You learn about communication. You learn about trust. And these things are important for a healthy and a successful marriage. But these are for the human relation. Also, I was in the United States Army, and I was trained as an equal opportunity race and relationship leader, where I had the responsibility of taking on all of the opportunities we had within our unit in way of relationship. I had to be the first one on scene to do the intake and had to decide what level of authority would answer those problems or issues. But tonight, I'm here to talk about the male perspective of the night subject. And I believe that we're going to have a great time. Already, I've had 2 people to call me about this subject already. So I know we're going to have a good one. Glenda?
Okay. All right. Now, Rufus and I created this format as a safe place to discuss trials, struggles, and victories in past and present relationships. This is not a one-size-fits-all open discussion. So we encourage everyone to participate and speak their truth. This is a non-judgmental zone, so talk as much or as little as you like. So tonight's topic, how can you still love them when it's not long enough or wet enough?
What did you say?
Would it be worth it? Don't do that. Okay, ladies. Now that is a very sensitive topic, but it's a very important topic in relationship. And when you think of the phrase "not long enough" or "not wet enough," it refers to the concerns about sexual performance and satisfaction. Now, it's crucial for us, Coach Mr. Carpenter and myself, to approach this topic with a lot of understanding, compassion, and also being open during the process. Not only does sexual compatibility and satisfaction play a part in our sexual performance, but also our sexual connection, it determines the strength and the longevity with your partner. So let's explore how love, communication, connection can persist even when sexual experiences might not always meet your expectation. Now, when you think about the topic, oh my God, I know some of y'all like, OMG, what are they about to talk about now? Like, oh, they getting down and dirty. But no, oh my God. We're not getting down and dirty. These are real topics that real marriages and real relationships experience on a daily basis. So how we approach it is, we're going to be mature about it. And let's start off with sexual compatibility. Now, for me, when it comes to sexual compatibility, I don't think about that whatsoever. In all honesty, because prior to me getting married and starting my family, I didn't know anything about, sexual compatibility. I wasn't taught or encouraged or motivated, as far as knowing certain things before I got married, because I was married young. I became a mother young, so I had to learn from trial and error. So when you talk about sexual compatibility, I really can't tell you too much about now my sexual life as of today. Since I've been married, oh, I can tell you a huge array of differences. But I don't focus on compatibility initially going into relationships, because I know that there are other things that are more important in my relationship outside of sex. How you and I vibe together when we're together, you know, my desire of wanting to be with you when I'm not with you, looking forward to hear from you via text or via phone call. I look for the non-intimate things. That is what drives me. And that also enhances your sexual performance when you're with someone, because you care for them so much, you love them so much, you want to be with them so much. So, Mr. Carpenter, I want you to chime in regards to understanding sexual compatibility with your mate, your partner, your spouse.
Okay, good. I'm glad you turned it over to me. But before I get there, let's make sure we understand the framework, everybody, because this is everybody's chance to be a part of this. The framework is you and 20 of your girlfriends are in one of y'all household. And you're in the living room, you're comfortable, you know, might have a glass of wine or whatever you drink, and you're comfortable. And this is a conversation you get loose and talk about, because everybody has something different. Everybody acknowledges the difference in that. You know, what might turn me on may not turn you on, or what turns you on may not turn on. And some of us are babes that we don't know. We do, you know, we don't know what sex is about. We don't know. All we know is we got married, had a honeymoon, or I've been with my boyfriend, a girlfriend this long, and here's the way we do. Here's what we do, and here's how we do. So tonight, Glenda and I didn't take many notes tonight, because we want this to be something where everybody get in and participate. Now, realizing this is a safe zone. You don't have to worry about what people are going to think about you, or you're freaky and all. This is not that. This is not that arena. This is arena for us to come and educate each other on some stuff. Because think about it. If I'm sitting here in this container called Sunday Night at 9, and I don't know anything about sexual preferences, and I don't know, and me and my boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever it is, I don't get nothing out of it. I don't get anything out of it. You know, it hurts. So I may not know what I'm doing. So somebody in this container might have a lot of experience, or might give me some things that will work for me. Because the first thing you got to realize, everyone has unique sexual preferences. You know, some like it this way, some like it that way. And I'm glad Felicia's on the line, because this came from something Felicia said one night that we was here. And she said that it may be certain parts of your anatomy that kind of turns you on, where it may not be just a conversation, where it may be a lot of foreplay or whatever it is. And maybe the way your bodies perform. You know, here's some examples. We have to have mutual satisfaction. No matter what we do, we both got to get something from it.
Right.
If I'm just satisfying you and ain't getting nothing from it, that might last 1 or 2 times. But about that 3rd or 4th encounter, something's gonna change, or somebody could get some help. What can I say? I mean, you know, so who raised a hand? Somebody raised electronic hand.
Yeah, somebody raised your hand. I can't tell who it is.
Whoever it is, go ahead and speak. Whoever raised the electronic hand, go ahead and speak, please. I can't tell who it is neither.
I didn't either.
But if you have some concerns or questions, please bring it in, because this right here topic is going to be this part of it. This part of it about this sexual compatibility. It's about acknowledging the differences and working towards a mutual satisfaction. It's about respecting boundaries, and it's about experimenting and adopting. Experiment. You know, it may be where you might need some toys, or you might need some kind of stimuli or stimulation in it. Because if you looked at the topic, our topic subject night is, how can you still love them when it's not long or wet enough? Would it be worth it? One of the conversations I had today, 2 people called me today about this. They said, "Are you really talking about vaginas and penises?" I said, "Yep." We are. And they said, well, how that's going to work? Well, that's what we're talking about right now. We're going to figure out how that's going to work. Because if you're dealing with that and you have an opportunity in your bedroom, hey, how are you going to learn?
Right.
You know, so when you experiment and adopt, a lot of times your spouse or significant others are afraid to say because they don't want you to think that, you know, they had an extended sex life before you came involved. I think my power just went out. Sorry, but I don't think they want you to realize they had an extended, they were more experienced than you are. So there's a lot of factors that come into play here. So now is a chance to discuss some of those things. Mm-hmm. You know, I may be a person that you got to talk to me first. You might have talked dirty, or you may have to pull out some toys, or you might have to be a Six Flag ride. I don't know.
Well, you know, that's where communication comes into a relationship. Mm-hmm. Let each other know what you want, what you need, what you like, what you don't like. You know, and that's important.
Absolutely.
Very much important. Because if you doing something and it's just, all it's doing is turning me off, and the more you do it, the more you smile, the more I frown. And if you can't catch my drift, then we got this. I got to come out and tell you, look, fool, it's over here, not there.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about right now. This part of we're talking about the compatibility. The compatibility, what that looks like. Everyone has a unique preference. Now, and then everybody's norm is not the same. And then how do you navigate the norms? What is norm? Is it norm? And I think the old days is missionary style. And I'm just throwing something out there, guys. I'm throwing something out there. That's all I'm doing is start throwing something out there.
Okay.
It may be, you know, what are some of the things that you look for? You know, understanding everybody's desire. You know, how do you, you know, we haven't got the communication part. We'll get to that in a little bit, but we're still staying with the physical part of it, the compatibility, understanding sexual compatibility. You know, and then it's who your mate is. If your mate a same sex or different sex, you know, it's how do you navigate that? Mm-hmm. Because, you know, you got the right to love who you love.
Right.
You know, on this forum, we're not telling you who to love. All we're trying to tell you is how to make that love better. That's all we're doing.
Correct.
We're trying to give you a better understanding. Right. Okay, any questions about sexual compatibility, understanding that? Go ahead.
I don't have a question. I wanted to make a comment. Yeah, it said something in regards to you don't want your partner to know that they had a more of a elaborate, you know, sexual past. You know, I've learned and I've heard several times that everybody has a past. Mm-hmm. So as you know, if you're just starting into a serious relationship at the age of 40 or 50, I mean, you're 9 times out of 10, you're not a virgin anymore, especially if you already know you have children. So you shouldn't hold that against your partner, especially when it's talking about, you know, what you like and what you don't like when it comes to bedroom action, because it's better for you to tell them up front and in advance before you get to the actual play field and be like, what you doing? Who taught you that? So in all honesty, like the young lady stated, is like, you know, making sure you communicate, but you don't hold someone's past against them because they may be more fluent in this area than you are. I mean, that you, like we said, you can't choose who you love. You love who you love, and that's just how it goes. But don't throw up somebody's sexual background with their previous relationships, you know, up in their face and hold it against them, because right there, you've just sabotaged your relationship with that individual, because you already got your mind made up that this person's going to have your legs all across the headboard, and you're going to be upside down on the you know, on the ceiling fan. You could be doing tricks and turns like they said, a Six Flags ride. So please keep that in mind going forward. But are we ready to move on to community?
Not yet. We got a few more things to bring out on because you know, you have to be you got to be open to trying new things.
Absolutely.
You have to be open to trying new things because you don't know until you try. You have to be open. Because now it's a fluid design. You have to be adaptable to change.
Right.
Well, first, let me ask this one question, and we can ask this question and get it started.
Okay.
How do you acknowledge and respect your partner's sexual preferences? For instance, if your partner says, "Hey, look, I don't do oral. I just get that ain't who I am." How do you respect that? Do you still give indications like I still want, how do you handle that? Anybody
I get
want
the
to
whipped cream out.
That's a
Get
good
the
way.
whipped cream out.
They may not like oral, but they like sweets. So,
That's right. Honey, chocolate syrup, whatever.
hey, that's an option. Make it fruity.
Don't knock it until you try it.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer of that because a lot of times people say, well, oh, no, I don't do that. No. You know what? You never know what you like until you try it.
So that's the first one. Another question, how do you work towards your partner's sexual satisfaction? Because, what? I didn't hear you, Glenda.
Talking. You talk about it.
Okay, talking. Okay. Somebody said we had one where somebody said that fella always made sure that she got hers first. Is that the norm, or is that the norm, or that's not the norm, or
that is the norm?
That's the norm.
That is the norm because you want to be invited back over for seconds and thirds and fourths and 15s.
Oh, that's the trick. Okay, got it.
Because if she doesn't get hers first, and you've already made it to the mountaintop, she feel like, okay, so what about me? How am I gonna get to the mountaintop?
Okay.
This is Felicia, and I think I had commented before, and my thing is that women sometimes some women take longer to reach their peak. And so sometimes, it may not be as long for a man, but sometimes women take longer to get to where they need to get to, but you have to know your body. You know your body, you know what it takes for you to get to. And so I feel like this is, I just think a man should make it a priority to satisfy his woman first, because most likely in the end, the man's going to reach his peak at the end. So one way or another, he's going to reach his peak and be satisfied. So I just feel like as a man, that should be his first priority in an intimate relationship. That's just my opinion.
Awesome.
Great opinion.
I remember I talked to a lady once, and she told me, she said what turns her off the most when a guy come in all nasty and sweaty, want to jump down, want to get down and do some things, and haven't been in the bathroom and washed up, and she can still smell his work on him, and she said that turns her off. She says that's a big turn off. So yeah, and I was looking at a matter of fact, I was looking at an African study where they were prepping the ladies on how to satisfy their man, and one of the rituals were they taught them how to bathe and how to prepare and how to get ready for that encounter. So those type of things are very important. I don't know how do you handle that, ladies? If you handle a man that came to you nasty, how would you handle that?
I would get in the shower with him pronto.
Oh, that's a way, getting in the shower with him.
Get in the shower and, seduce each other a little bit.
Awesome. Then you make it pleasurable for both of y'all.
Yes.
Awesome. That's a great way of looking at it. Because a lot of times, men feel I'm manly. They're manly. The must and all.
The hard smells hurt people's stomachs sometimes. So if I'm gagging, I'm definitely not going to be attracted to you or feel like being intimate with you.
Right.
I'm going to be nauseated and oh no, this is not going to happen tonight.
Okay. No. And now the vice versa. Suppose you go to female and the female smells. Y'all give me that look for. Females smell too. Come on. Only guys smell.
You're absolutely right. I was just trying to get my thoughts together before I responded because I had something at the tip of my tongue.
Dr. Johnson, you look like you kind of like, do you want to answer that one, Dr. Johnson? Help me out, Dr. Johnson. Help me out, Dr. Johnson. How would that be?
It brought me back to one time when I was in school, and we could walk to school,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, wow, I smell musky. And I went home and washed up under my arms and put some deodorant on. No, if I can smell myself, somebody else can smell me too.
Exactly.
So we've got so let's make sure we got understanding sexual compatibility. We got all that worked out, right? Any question on that before Glenda move on? No questions. Let's make sure that we understand and everybody's up to experimenting and adopting new things. Are we open to that kind of stuff, or that's taboo?
I think the audience got a good idea about trying new tricks and giving out new treats.
I'm gonna add a little bit to that.
Go ahead.
To the conversation about I've had, because there are times, if there's times where you're not gonna, sometimes you just don't have time to always just jump in the shower. So there's been times where you can have a quickie, whatever. Well, at least for me, I haven't always just had to say, okay, it just depends on the situation. But there has been times where I've known that I have, have worked all day, and the person worked all day, and they came home, but it felt right at the moment. So because by the time you take a shower, and do all that, your mood could possibly change, something could happen. So a number of things could trigger that where you don't get that activity in. So I can say that I have not always showered in every situation.
And sometimes the spontaneous of that is the best sex.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
And you don't hold it against the other person.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, just like waking up with somebody early in the morning, you got morning breath. You're going to, not everyone's going to get up. You want an early morning, activity. It may just be y'all right there activity that happening, and then you are get up and shower, freshen up, whatever.
Yeah.
So sometimes that has happened as well. So and you've been in the bed all night, but in the morning you get up and you do what you do, and you got morning breath. So it's give or take. So that's how I look at it.
So that was good, Felicia. Felicia brought that the spontaneity. Like both you guys have worked out in the garden and came in the house and you looked at each other sweat and said, ooh, that's spontaneity. That's great. And that's awesome. So I'm glad you made that distinction between somebody saying, hey, look, I'm be at your house at 6:30 and, we're going to have dinner, and then afterwards, what's going to come. That when that guy comes thinking, then there's something wrong. But when spontaneity hit and you guys been working out, the exercise at a gym or whatever, we understand that. That's great. So thanks for bringing that out for us, Felicia. All right, go to the next one, Glenda.
All right, we have communication, open and honest communication about sexual needs and desires is essential. Many couples avoid these conversations due to embarrassment or fear of a rejection, but addressing concerns directly can lead to solutions and deeper intimacy.
Ooh,
now, I will totally agree 100% that communication is the key. All the way down when it comes to intimacy, because if you don't talk about it, you'll never know, and you'll never, be able to meet the person in the middle. If they say they don't do oral, but you prefer it, okay, so what's the medium? I mean, how can we? Because I need to have it. So being able to talk about it, whether it's something you do or not, is very important. And you shouldn't feel fearful of any type or fear of rejection, because when going back to the topic, I do want to refer back to the topic when it says, would it be worth it? When you really love somebody, you care about them, you will work with them, even in the intimacy area. So it's not like, you know, you don't do oral, but I want it. But we have to find a medium, because I love you enough to work with you. But if it ever gets to the point that you're not willing to work with me, now we have a problem. No one should feel left out or neglected, especially in the bedroom activity, because especially in marriages where sex is expected. I will say that. And I know that other relationships do require sex, but I'm referring to the marriage one, the marriage bed, more or less. You have to talk about it. You have to say what you like and what you don't like, and you shouldn't be hesitant or think that, you know, what are they going to think of me, or how are they going to take this for whatever reason, because it's an important topic, especially if you desire your relationship to progress and you want to keep having those intimate moments. Mr. Carpenter?
All right, newsflash. I'm single. We outside of marriage want to have sex too. Let's get that on the board. Because you and me wait till I get married. Some gonna
How did I know that you was gonna chime in with that?
But I just had to play. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Some made me do that. But
I know.
Stop. When we talk about the rule, I can't even talk now. When we talk about the role of communication, we're talking about open, honest dialect. You know, when you talk, how do you set aside time to talk about sex in your relationship, whether you're married or not married, or whether you boyfriend with benefits or friend with benefits, or however you want to call it? How do you set time aside to talk? How do you have that honest conversation? And that open dialogue comes into play, because a lot of times you have to, it's a normal conversation that have to be had.
Correct.
And if you can talk, and I have problems myself talking about it, because especially if it's somebody brand new and we're talking, you know, and because a lot of times you feel like, man, if I come out and say I want something right out the gate, or come out and say, well, hey, here's the way I want it, here's what I want to do, I'm a little freaky, you know, that conversation, that boat may not float, as they say. We might not get to where I'm trying to go.
You got that right.
So you have to have that space to have the open conversation, and it's part of life. You know, where else do you get this type of training to talk about that kind of stuff? You know, your parents weren't talking to you about it.
No,
you know,
there wasn't.
And when your friends talk to you about it, they're talking about common stuff. They're not talking about how to be respectful, and how to love, and how to share, and how to be open, and how to be an active listener.
Right.
Because if you have a partner and your partner say, I don't like this, and then you actually listen to them, and they really mean they don't like it, then you have to say, hey, do you care to share? You know, explain that a little bit more to me so I'll know. Because when you really become an active listener, and you validate your partner's feelings, it makes a difference. Because the intimacy of sex, it's a physical and emotional event happening there. And those positive emotional deposits in each other's life is very, very important. So that active listening, and then not only just what they're saying, those nonverbal cues they give. You know, every time you touch them, they, or every time you rub here, you know, that happened or this happened. You know, you have to be able to, it's a little bit more than just talking. It's a little bit more than talking. You know, how do you create audience? How do you create a safe space to talk to your partner about sex and what's your preferences and what do you want? Do you just come out and say it? You set a time aside, or do you say, look, baby, we want to talk about that night, or you just have it over dinner?
Pillow talk.
Pillow talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pillow talk.
You sure we don't do it before the pillow? You can't. You can't do it.
You get, to be honest,
I'm sorry. You can't say that thing. What's that restaurant you used to go to, Red Lobster, which ain't there no more? You can't sit down at Red Lobster and say, hey, baby, look, let's talk.
No, it's say if you just had if you and your partner, you know, just had sex and say something didn't feel right, or you felt as if something could have went differently, you know, when you finish, you could talk about it while you're still on the pillow. That's what I mean by pillow talk. It's a conversation you can have afterwards.
That's right. Yeah.
It ain't where he do it right. You turned on the other side saying, "Damn." That ain't it. That's when we talk. A tiger, all right. You're
trying to work with the individual, and if you have to give them grace and some patience too during the process. You're not, after maybe 1 or 2 episodes, you should be ready to throw your fish back out in the water. Be like, "No, this ain't gonna work." No, you want to hey, let's talk about it. Let's see if there's some other alternatives. Let me express what I like, what I don't like, what you can do to, you know, to please me a little bit better. But you can do that even after you've had your first or second episode, or your you know, what they call escapade. Yes. So, I mean, you can do it while you're, you know, after you have sex. So even like someone commented, before and during sex. You know, a lot of men love to talk during sex.
Stop. But let's hear from our audience. Me and you doing a lot of talking. Let's let our audience talk some. Audience, help us out with this. This is communication. This right here, communication. We're talking about open dialogue. We're talking about expressing your concerns and express your desires. We're talking about active listening and some of the nonverbal cues. Share with us, audience.
Well, Glenda made a good point about you know, pillow talk, you know, and talking throughout the, you know, not everyone is verbal when intimate. So, but you have to. I can recall I was with dating someone, and you know, because I have you know pretty sizable behind, so he used to like to spank it, and so I was like, oh hell no, that's what we ain't gonna do, spanking.
So, where my flowers going out?
But you're right there, and I've had situations, you know, in relationships where you know, where the conversation didn't come up in the beginning. We just kind of, you know, went for it, and then if something didn't happen the way it should have happened, then the conversation came up. So it always don't have to come up in the beginning, because the person can give you more than what you're asking for. So you may end up limiting yourself of getting pleased, you know, in a way by just coming out and just saying, I like to be on top. I like to be, however, whatever you like. So you may not be getting all what you feel like you should be getting in a lovemaking situation. So I usually, you know, so not always have that upfront conversation. Then depends on the person who you're with as well too. But that's just my take on it.
You made a great comment. Everybody should have a safe word or some type of word that if you're in it and it's getting out a little out of hand and you need it to stop, you should have some type of code or some type of word, or you should have some type of a signal, some kind of way that your partner might know that somebody said no. Just say no.
No, that's right.
But I don't know. But I've heard no, stop, no, don't stop, no, stop, no. Which no is right?
No, look, no means no. It won't be no laughing.
Poor guys, got them all mixed up.
Don't you get the N or the O?
I've been in situations where no, don't stop, no, don't stop.
That sounds like pleasurable no's.
Yes,
okay, I just want to make sure I didn't want to get confused.
No, you're trying to be funny.
Because I was on that ride before.
Don't get back on.
But, you know, we gotta have fun, guys. We gotta have fun with this, because this is a serious topic. Yes, it is, and it's serious. But you still gotta have fun, because intimacy, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, is part of any relationship. And that's not the main thing or the main course of a relationship, but it's important in a relationship. It's so important that some people say, hey, if it don't work, I'm gonna get some help. You're gonna get some help, buddy.
Exactly.
You know, whether it's a man or a woman, you can get some help. And a lot of times they don't need to go out and find nobody. They need to communicate. This is where the communication is so important. You need to communicate. I talked to one person today and they told me, so look, Rufus, if it ain't wet enough, get some oil. They told me that, hey, look, if it ain't long enough, get some toys. And they gave me a whole lot of solutions. And they said the person don't have to go out. They can go buy it if they need to make it work.
What you mean by they can go out? Like step outside?
They don't have to go out. They don't have to go find another lover or something else that would do what I would do or what the women would do.
Okay.
The person on one of the conversations today, they gave me a great little lecture. They even gave me the normal sizes, which I didn't know. But yeah, so I had two conversations there about this before we even started. So this subject is very important. Communication is very, very important. And how do you improve your active communication for your partner? You know, do you guys set a time aside, say, hey, look, you know, our sexual love life is great, or our sexual love life is this or like that? Do you ever have those conversations with your partner? Are those something that people do?
Those conversations come when you probably hinted towards something not right in the bedroom, and it causes sexual frustration. And then you just start blurting it out, like when you're doing laundry. You need to take care of that. You'll make a sarcastic remark to the other person, and most likely because you're sexually frustrated, you end up hurting their feeling, but you really don't mean it. It's just that, they're not listening to you. You're trying to find ways to talk to them, and they're just not listening. They're not hearing you. Okay. So those conversations, I do believe the Glenda statistics show that they do take place.
Okay, awesome.
They do take place.
All right, any questions?
Just that, wait a second.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
It's just that some people aren't receptive to what's being said because they are embarrassed. Or they always want to say, well, ain't nothing wrong with me, it must be you. They'll make them little smart little comments. No one wants to say it's me. But to be an adult and be grown about the topic, you have to be honest. Maybe I do need to go to the doctor. Maybe I need to look into that, because if I love you, I care about you, I should want to continue to satisfy you. And it's not a one-way street in the bedroom.
Right.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for bringing that out, Glenda. Go ahead. iPhone, did you want to say something, iPhone? iPhone, did you want to say something? Your phone lit up. Okay, good. All right, but good job on that, Glenda, because remember, communication is broken down to the open dialogue, expressing your desires and concern, active listening, and look for the nonverbal communication. Those are the things, and those nonverbal communication are cues to let you know whether you're doing it right or whether you're doing it wrong, okay? Any question before Glenda move on to the next part of this? All right, Glenda.
All right, we're talking about emotional intimacy and connection. Emotional intimacy often plays a more significant role in the strength of a relationship than physical intimacy. Building a strong emotional connection can enhance physical experiences and compensate for any shortcomings in the sexual aspect of the relationship. Now, I totally agree, because even if it's 2 inches long or 7 inches long, if you love the person, you care about them, you're willing to work with them. Like Mr. Carpenter stated, he had a conversation with someone on the phone today in regards, if it's not where, if you're not compatible or things are not feeling like you want them to feel, go get you a toy, go talk to a doctor. There are so many other alternatives out there. It's no need for sexual frustration, but you have to also think about how you feel about the person. You don't want to hurt their feelings, because you don't know what type of damage that is going to cause.
And always try new things.
Absolutely.
It's okay to try new things.
Right. And that 2-inch penis may feel different if you bend over on the couch versus laying, on your back in the bed. So, change up your positions every now and again. Those are just some suggestions.
Make it fun.
Absolutely.
That's
Don't
it.
make it funny, but make it fun.
Like when you're in the kitchen cooking or washing those dishes, let them come up behind you.
That's right. Ain't no wrong with a little extra
I mean,
stirring in that
you
soup.
gotta think of new things and fun things.
Exactly.
Keep
And
keep it stimulating.
yes, yes. You know, sometimes, you know, you can hear about something on the radio, see something on TV, and I wouldn't mind trying that. Hey, you never know. It might spice up your sex life a little bit more. You never know what'll happen, but you have to be open to change. You also got to always make sure you communicate with your partner, as well as, you know, make sure sex isn't everything. So even if it doesn't work well for you, that you're ready to toss the fish back into the water.
Now, this is an area that I think I really enjoy the most. That emotional bond, that strong bond, that intimacy. Intimacy to me is a lot better than physical. That emotional, you got me. If you can stimulate me emotionally, and that intimacy between me and my partner, and that's a lot of times I don't have to get to the mountaintop. If you're intimate with me and you give me your all, and you make me believe and feel what you're giving me is real, and it touches my soul, I'm yours. I'm yours. That intimacy is strong. That love and affection. And that most of the songs of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, that's all they talked about. You know, that's when I go back and listen to some Al Green and all that stuff, you know, this is the kind of stuff that really, if we sit down and me and my boo, or however you want to say that, we sit down and we talk and we intimate the actual conversation, the touching, the feeling, this conversation, just being able to extend beyond the physical.
And I think the older we get, those things are much more special too.
Yes, yes.
You know, instead of like when we were younger, you know.
Yes.
It was more wilder, but I think as we get older, it's much more intimate and much more, it's better.
It is.
Yeah.
We learn.
Yeah, because she can look at me and give me that look, that feeling, oh, touch me deep in my soul. That's when you're talking about intimacy, you're talking about shared vulnerabilities. You know, what is it that you like? What is it about? What is it about the moment? You know, are you open? What are some of your insecurities? What are some of your fears? What are some of how can we bond? How can we bond this trust between you and I?
Right.
You know, the quality time we spend together uninterrupted. When we're alone, when the doors are shut, just me and her in the room. Or me and her on a long drive somewhere. Or we're on a cruise. You know, it could be in the kitchen cooking together, or washing dishes, or just a walk together in the park.
Yeah.
We in our own world, the vibing. You can just the energy, the frequency.
It's just leaving you speechless, isn't it?
I'm telling you, the quality. So much. It's so much in this part, and if you invest time and do it right. Oh, this is the kind of stuff that when you get old and things don't perform like they used to, or you don't look as good as you used to look, or you start having problems, you know, you don't have the hair you had before, you know, the men getting bald or the woman getting bald or whatever. You know, this is the time that intimacy that you develop along the way will carry you all the way.
Yeah.
I got a question, Mr. Carpenter. So when did this intimacy play such a huge part in your adult life? Was it when you was married, or did it come later in life, like maybe 40s, 50s, 60s, 65?
All the above.
Really?
All the above. It started for me. I'm talking for me now, guys. This is me talking. I'm sharing. I'm being vulnerable now. You guys are a great audience. You've been with us all this whole journey of Sunday Night Live, and you've been here. So it for me, once I've learned to love, once my heart became open, man, I understood God's love for people, for the world. And then I tried to be more Christ-like. And then I realized I became softer. I became more intimate. I was able to love more. I was able to give person grace, as you said earlier today, Glenda. I was able to give grace. And then when I realized I was getting that back, I was getting as good as I was given. And that's when the equally yoked comes into play, and that soulmate. Someone can look at me and I could just feel it. And we have those conversations, we have that smile, the eyes meet. You have those moments where you touch my arm or touch my hand, I put my hand in your hand, or you walk up behind me and tickle me in my back. And then you say little words that only we know and bring us back to memories. Or you mess around, we could be here all night long. I could do this.
We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff. Matter of fact, I'm sweating right now thinking about it. It's when you and that person sync, when y'all are in sync, and you're being vulnerable and you're doing it from the heart. This is not so much, I'm not trying to get satisfied. I want to satisfy that person. I want the person to feel what I feel. I want to go all the way with this person. I want to make this person not only believe, but know that they're being loved. And I'm loved with all my heart and all that's in me and within my soul. You can't beat that, young lady.
Okay, all right. Now you heard it from him.
Any questions?
I wanted to say something. It comes with time. Let's take a married couple. I heard this pastor say the other day. He said, "There's this couple at my church," and I say, "Man, don't nobody love like that." And they just love each other, and they have been married for quite a few years, maybe 50 years or something like that, right? And he says, and every Sunday when you see them, they finish each other's sentences, and now they dress alike. They coordinate. The color is the same. And he says, and I sit back and I've just been watching that. I said, man, it ain't all that. And then he said they had a big picnic or something, and a really big church function, very large church. And everybody was sitting around and out at the picnic, and he was just walking around greeting everybody and having his time. And he saw that couple. They had brought their own chairs, and they were sitting over under the tree. And he went over there, and they didn't even know he was there. They were asleep, holding hands. He said, now this just takes the cake. This just takes the cake.
That is sweet.
And that intimacy, it just had grown and grown, and he was just overwhelmed with it. And he says, God, if I get to do this again, this is what I want.
Exactly. And that is so rare.
They're always together. And when he saw that, that just sealed it for him. They were sitting out at the picnic, maybe they had mingled, but they got them a resting spot. And they were sitting there, sleep, holding hands, and they didn't even know he was there. So just intimacy grows with time. And
yes, it does.
It grows with time, and you work on it. And I feel real sorry for people that, don't take the time. And when you get older and you're sitting there over dinner and you're like, what do we have in common? The kids are gone, the emptiness, because we didn't take time and invest in ourselves. Where are we? But you got to work on it along the path. You don't just happen overnight. You grow into it. And you take the time and you make time. And you show affection and love to one another so that your children will learn to do that. No, this is how it works, because I've seen my parents do it.
Right.
But I'm glad you brought that up. That's within all of us. What you just mentioned, God deposited in all of us. All of us have that capacity. That capacity is in us. God made us a love. God is love. We're made, created after him. So love is who we are. The problem is we get it twisted. We watch this world, we watch the world, and we get it twisted from watching the world. We look at the wrong examples. All of this is within us. A lot of times when we're with our spouse, significant other, or partner, however you call that, we are so busy trying to be fault finders that we don't take the blessing of realizing that we have someone that's committed to us and loving us and love us and want to be with us, and we don't accept them unconditionally with their faults and all.
Right, correct.
So we're busy chasing other things to find what we have at home or what we have in our partner. That time we take investing somewhere else, trying to find the newer flavor, the bigger, the better, or whatever that is, or the wetter or the longer. We could invest that right home.
Right at home. Yes. And it's, you build on it.
Mm-hmm.
An old man told me one time, said, son, let me talk to you. You out here looking for the greener grass. He said, grass is greener where you piss and shit on it. He said, that's manure. That makes the grass better. He said, so you stay planting in your own grass and you make your grass green. I said, and I understand it when he told me that, but now I get it now. I get it now. All right, it's coming to a 9:51, guys. So we gotta start moving kind of fast so we can wrap this up, or either we got to do a part 2. Glenda, what do you want to do, Glenda? We're gonna move fast and wrap it up, or we just gonna do a part 2?
We're gonna have to do a part 2 because I thought of some other comments while y'all were talking.
Okay, guys, then let's go ahead and put a wrap on this right about now. Let's go ahead and put this in a bow, and we'll wrap this up and bring this back, because this is a subject that they don't talk about this in church. They don't talk about this in the community. No. Where do you get this knowledge? Where do you feel safe enough to have these conversations?
The TV doesn't help either.
Correct. So guys, let's do this. Let's go ahead and end it right here, and let's come back next week and finish this, because we've got a heck of a lot more to go. And this subject, which was a good subject, which was how do you still love them when it's not long and or wet enough? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? That's the question I want you to ponder until next week. Is it worth it? And we already talked about, we first talked about sexual compatibility, and we talked about where, what are some of the things that make it work for you? We all have unique desires. Our norm may be different than your norm or whatever. You and your partner got to do it. We talked about communication. We talked about the verbal cues, the nonverbal cues. We talked about you have to be able to talk to your partner. You have to make time for your partner to talk. And we're just ending up tonight on the intimacy part. And we talked about intimacy part is such a big force that it binds and holds a relationship beyond the physical. Beyond the physical. And we're stopping right here until next week. It's been fun. It's been real. Remember, every Wednesday, what we did on Sunday night will be on YouTube on Wednesday. And right now, I think we've got maybe about 20 episodes on YouTube already. So there's a lot of content there for you on YouTube. Now, Glenda's growing this Sunday Night Live is unreal. She's got some things coming out in the month of June that, oh my Lord, you're going to really enjoy some of the stuff she have you coming out in the month of June. And I'm just happy to be the manager here working with Glenda that we can do this. Glenda, I really appreciate you for bringing this forum out to the public and being able to talk about some of these subjects that we don't normally talk about or we're afraid to talk about. And you just go into them with both feet. So I appreciate you for that. Anybody want to close us out? Glenda, want to close us out, or you and me go ahead and finish?
You can finish. You're on a roll.
Okay, if any of our audience want to say anything tonight, anybody that haven't talked in a while that want to say something, want to share?
Thank you.
Oh, appreciate it. We're here for you. Once again, this format is 20 of your girlfriends in your living room, and this is a safe spot. This container where you can talk about anything relationship, a relationship or a certain topic or any questions you have. This is your chance to get your questions answered. to be a part of the audience. So we'll see you next week. It's been fun. Thank you, everybody. All right,
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Same
Good
time.
night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.